Welcome to the Geek, the Nerd, and the Tangent. We're excited this week to talk about Ocean's 8. We're down one man with Bret on the cruise. Just a little warning, Eric phones it in majorly this week, saying he just wanted to sleep in. All right, we are joined this week by someone new today. We have a new addition to the podcast, as much as children permit upstairs. We have my wife here, Chelsea.
Hello.
And I am Matt. I'm going to be hosting this week since Bret is out. And we also have with us, phone it in, Eric.
I don't even know what that means, but I'm here today.
You know what it means.
Hi, Eric. Sometimes I just want to sleep in. I haven't slept in for months.
Yeah, I think when Bret's gone, we should arrange to sleep in a little bit. Am I right?
I agree.
I know. I mean, I don't have as much energy today as I like, but I will be here. I am here, 100%.
Get it together, man.
I am together.
All right, we're excited today. We got a good episode ahead of us. We got a lot of random topics to talk about, but mostly we've got an Ocean's 8 review. And just a warning, when we get to it, we'll warn you if there's any spoilers or anything like that. But
that'll be spoilers.
Right, but we'll warn you when we get to that so that you could still listen to this other part of the podcast. So right now, let's get into
It's
the Random
time
Roundup.
for the Random Roundup.
All right, Chelsea, why don't we start with you? You've never been on the podcast before except for our solo, I guess, initial reaction podcast that we did. So why don't we start with you? Just, give us a little something for this Random Roundup.
And tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Matt's wife, as he said, and I watch most of the movies with him. Not all of them. We have some different tastes, but most of them. I've been enjoying the classic movie minute movies.
Which we need to do more of again. I feel like we've kind of taken a sabbatical, but I think we need to get back into that.
Yeah, we do.
I've had a good recommendation, by the way, from my coworker that quit movies at 1980, pretty much.
Who would quit movies at 1980? I mean,
someone that really loved movies until some of them turned bad.
But there's been so many more.
There have
awesome
been good movies, but it just hasn't appealed to him. Basically,
he just got stuck in the past.
He's stuck in the past, and he's stuck with some good movies. Though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, there are some good movies, but
at least he saw Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
What movie is it?
It's called Fortune Cookie. It's also another Billy Wilder film. So we've watched two of those now. So we watched The Apartment, and we watched, trying to think what was the other one, Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So Billy Wilder was huge back in his day. He kind of fizzled out at the end, according to this guy, but according to my coworker. But it sounds like we got some more good stuff to do. So
it was the same actor in both those movies? Or just that he was the director?
He was the director,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He's the director.
I thought those were different people.
Nope, he's the filmmaker for those.
All right.
Anyway, what you got for us?
Well, Matt said I should mention something about what I mostly do besides taking care of kids, and that's rescue cats and kittens. And to tell people, please spay and neuter your pets.
Like Bob Barker.
Uh-huh. He's a smart man.
In some ways.
Well.
In that way, yes.
Yeah. This week, I rescued 3 litters of kittens.
Meow.
And most of them are in new foster homes now. It's kind of what I do. Get them and then get them to a safe place and then find them new foster homes.
And fix them.
And fix them, yes. Because there's a endless supply and it's very overwhelming. But I had one kind of crazy adventure this week that I'll tell you about. Matt doesn't know about this yet.
Sweet.
So hopefully.
Do I want to know about this?
Secret adventure.
I didn't want to worry him. So
oh boy.
So someone posted on a Facebook group that they heard a cat meowing by the track station in Orem. And that they couldn't tell where the meowing was coming from, and they're worried it wasn't stuck, or they're worried it was stuck. And so I thought, well, I'll go check it out. So I went to check it out, and there's a fence, and then the two railroad tracks. And so I didn't think there's anywhere for it to be stuck, but I thought, well, maybe it's in this old train or some trees on the other side of the tracks. So I thought, well, I'm not going to, go across the tracks, but maybe there's a way around it. So I got, in my minivan with my kids, and and I drove down a few streets, and there was a railroad crossing for cars to get through to the other side. So I went across that, and I found this little gravel road that leads parallel to the tracks, but next to it, but a fairly safe distance. So I went traveling down this little gravel road on the side of the tracks and got up to where the station was, but on the other side. And so here I am in my minivan and with my windows down, just calling, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty," along the side of the railroad tracks.
Doesn't even surprise me.
On this little gravel road, and my little 2-year-old joins in. "Here, kitty, kitty."
You should bring a cam with you so you can make like the adventures of
That's
Chelsea.
true. I've told her that so many times because
That
she
sounds
does
like a fun,
such
like a
crazy
YouTube video.
stuff like this all the time.
Yeah.
Every day she's got something crazy going
I
on.
could see a cool, like.
If only cats could pay.
Yes. I took a little video to show someone where it was at, but
With
yeah.
how innovative and how much you work on cats, if it did pay, I think you would be top tier pay.
Wouldn't that be nice if that kind of thing paid? Yeah, I didn't find the cat or hear the cat, but I got some idea of the area, and kind of had a funny moment there because people from the station waiting for tracks could see me over there just in my minivan driving along.
And you
In the
didn't
middle of
end up
nowhere.
getting arrested or anything?
I thought, if I stayed here long enough, they might, come check on me, but I drove up and down and then left, but I'm sure I was quite the sight.
Wow.
So
You heard it here first, folks. And that's not the least of the crazy
cat
adventures.
rescuer.
Yeah.
No.
I really do think you should do a little YouTube channel with your crazy adventures. Just strap on an action cam every
Yeah.
time you go somewhere.
And then when you find like dangerous animals, be like, "It's a skunk, run away."
Yeah, I have been sprayed in the face by a skunk.
Ugh.
My friend Cade yesterday, they found a little 3-week-old kitten on the roof, and
Oh, wow.
they couldn't find it
How?
at first. They just heard meowing.
How
So
did it get on the roof?
we don't know.
Did it climb a vine or something?
Well,
A bird?
It's
So
too
it snatched
small.
it?
We wondered if it was a bird that dropped it
Oh.
on the roof, or maybe its mom left it on the roof. But
Oh, wow.
it had been up there. They heard it meowing for a couple days. So the firefighters, they called them. It was a tall house, and they couldn't find it. So
Will the firefighters actually act here in
they
Utah?
did. Yeah.
Because I
Oh,
had to I had my own cat adventure once in Texas.
You had to climb a tree yourself to get a cat down because the firefighters wouldn't.
Oh, we had
come.
to go get the ladder from the locked maintenance gate from our apartment.
in the
and
night.
Somehow get it out, wiggle it through, put it on the tree, get the cat down, and then I had to hurry over to. I was tutoring student athletes at the time at TCU, and so I had to hurry over there, and I was a little bit late for my tutoring
Oh, yeah.
appointment. But at least I had saved a cat. I had a good excuse
Yeah.
because I had just saved a
Very good
cat from a
excuse.
tree.
Well, these guys, Cade gave them a trap to set, and so they set the trap on the roof, and sure enough, the kitten went in, and they were able to get it, and now it's being bottle fed in a foster home, rescued off a 2-story roof. So
Oh,
you never
wow.
know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What about
Crazy
dogs?
cats.
Do you ever go and rescue dogs?
I feel like dogs have enough people.
Get ready for some preaching.
No. Sometimes I say I wish I was a dog rescuer because you just don't get calls that all these litters of orphan puppies are out there and no
Yeah.
one will take care of them. And there's always lines. If there's a litter of orphan puppies, there's always lines of people that will bottle feed them and
Yeah,
stuff. It
people
just
like their
doesn't happen
dogs.
very often. So, yeah, cats need more help. I mean, there's a place for dog rescuers, but cats need more help. So,
That is true.
yeah.
I think we've got a few. Thank you for sharing that. I think we've got a few
Fascinating.
movie trailers to share for this week. One that I wanted to mention Eric said he's watched a few this week, but maybe he
Yeah,
didn't
there was
wanna,
a lot.
maybe he didn't want to share them. I wanted to share one because I'm excited about the filmmaker. I really like Peter Jackson. I'm not too excited about anything he's done post Lord of the Rings, including the Hobbit movies. They were okay, but not very good.
What about King Kong?
King Kong I watched, and I thought it was pretty dull. It didn't excite me
I mean,
at all.
it's 3 hours.
It's 3 hours, yeah, and it's not 3 hours other than for any reason other than the fact that Peter Jackson just wanted to make this movie. He just said he was kind of inspired by this movie as a kid, King Kong. So he just always said, I don't care if it's good or bad, but I have to do this movie because he just felt like he owed something to it, maybe. But it was bad. It wasn't very good. But I still enjoy him as a filmmaker. I think he has potential to do good work, and I think this is a pretty good fit for him. Whether or not you like kind of the steampunk type of genre or not, or I guess the dystopian society type of idea, that's another story. But I think it's a good fit for Peter Jackson, and I just wanted to play a quick sound clip.
What is that? That is London.
So basically, it's these cities are pretty much mechanized, and they're just roaming the earth. And I don't understand completely what's going on, but there's predator cities taking other cities in, something like that. But it looks like it has potential to be interesting and to be good.
Yeah, hopefully it will because it's based on a book. And so if it doesn't do well, then you don't get, and most likely there might be a cliffhanger. And so if it doesn't do well, then you're just stuck with a movie with a cliffhanger.
But he's been working on this thing for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when he announced this, it was years ago. So hopefully in that amount of time, they've been able to put together something good. It does have that very airbrushed look of the Hobbits movies. If you take a look at the trailer online, it's got a very airbrushed look to it. Not that that's a bad thing, and it still looks realistic, but it definitely looks Peter Jackson-y.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. I mean, it's not a movie that, I mean, there were so many trailers that came out this week that it was one that was like, oh, that probably will be fun to see in the theaters.
I think so. I think it'll be fun to see in the theaters. I think it's probably one Chelsea might not enjoy as much.
When there's a lot of destruction and it seems kind of hopeless, and then at the end they save the day, I don't always like those ones quite as much, just all the suspense and destruction, but it can be exciting too to see.
Or hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything violent.
Yeah.
I like some good hand-to-hand combat. Or they're just fighting. I don't like
Yeah,
when
some
there's-
people do. Chelsea can't
Especially-
handle it.
Especially a good brawl. Good brawl it's not like just fun brawl. I like the good fun bar brawl. Those are always.
Yeah. Yeah, like Cool Runnings type thing.
Yeah.
Talking about that?
Or a good old Western brawl.
Yeah, good old Westerns.
Those are always fun.
Yeah.
It's like
Was it The Searchers that had something like that? Kind of at the end of the movie where they were fighting over a girl or something? Or was it a different Western?
Oh, I think it did. Yeah.
Was it The
I
Searchers?
think I remember what you're talking about.
It was either that or something else. But anyway, yeah, there we have it. So that's one movie trailer. Eric, what do you got for us?
well, this is, I don't know, this could change the history of the way we see movies because John Lasseter, well, I don't know, I think it's John Lasseter.
Lasseter. Yeah.
Lasseter. He's stepping down from Disney and Pixar, and I'm kind of bummed about that. I like the guy.
This is a really big deal.
And
Yeah.
he stepped away for a while, took some time, leave for a bit, but now he's finally officially decided that he's leaving Disney and Pixar. And I'm like, whoa, that he's been running Disney's animation studio since Disney took over Pixar, basically. And he's the one behind mostly all the creative ideas behind every Pixar movie. And
Yeah,
it's
he
kind of-
was definitely an important part of it.
I'm kind of bummed about that.
He's a co-founder of Pixar.
Yeah, he is.
He was there the whole time. So I read the book Creativity Inc. by Ed Catmull, who's the founder of Pixar. He was there with it from the beginning. He took on John Lasseter a bit later on, I believe. But that book I recommend to anybody. It's such a good book. But yeah, John Lasseter played a big part in this, I guess, developing the culture of how Pixar's managed, and then later on Disney, because they kind of, well, they came together, but also the management spread over from Pixar to Disney as well. So Ed Catmull kind of took over at Disney to turn things around because they were having lots of flops and they were having a hard time.
And he's just a laid-back guy. It's like him in his Hawaiian shirt. You don't get that with people.
Talking John Lasseter.
Yeah, who just seem down to earth or real.
But when it comes down to it, if you're using your power to commit criminal acts, yeah, you should probably step down.
Yeah, it'll just be so interesting to see how the movies change, if they do, to see what changes about Pixar.
You know what though? I think the culture's there.
Yeah,
I think they put in the process.
Stay.
The creative process that they have is so solid.
Yeah, they have a formula that they've worked to get themselves, and I think
It's so collaborative.
it will. And there's been a lot of people who've been there at Pixar for a long time that I was reading that they're thinking of that I think will be fine.
Pixar's going to be fine. It's not going anywhere. John Lasseter, he was a good creative mind about it, but if he comes out where he's been doing some things that he shouldn't, yeah, by all means get out of there, and it's going to be just fine without him. Because the creative process there wasn't just one individual.
No,
it was a
wasn't.
collaborative creative process. So if you take one person out, that's where it's so good. You know, if you lose one person, it doesn't matter too much at Pixar because you have a collaboration.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll change at all, though?
I mean, it was always good to have his name attached to things.
I mean, because
it wouldn't be as good anymore.
I mean, he was the one. I mean, he's behind he directed Toy Story, Bug's Life. He was usually the one who came. If something wasn't working right, he would come in and fix the movie. And that's why, like with Toy Story 4, man, there's been issues, but he's the one who wanted to tell the story of a Toy Story 4. He's like, I have a good idea. I feel like I want to tell the story. I don't know how much it's going to be changing now. I mean, they had some writers left with it. It was supposed to be a romantic comedy between Woody and Bo Peep, and I think that's still going to be. It's going to be still focused on Bo Peep and Woody, but it's changed from that idea. So hopefully next year they will give us another solid Toy Story movie. I like the Toy Stories. I mean, a lot of people think we shouldn't get another sequel for it, but I'm like, they're toys. They're fun. I like to see colorful things on TV. I like that's what makes Up so fun, because of all the colorful balloons. I just like colorful things.
There's more to Up that makes it fun than those, but yeah, that's part of it. The visuals are nice.
Yeah,
the visuals are nice,
and that's why I like.
You know, I have complete confidence in Pixar going forward. You know, if you lose somebody, what can you do, right?
I mean, a lot of companies will lose their main person, and
you have to lose them eventually, right?
Yeah.
They're going to retire, but in this case, this is a well-deserved leaving. You know, and if he's going to be abusing his power and mistreating women, then he should be out of there, and he shouldn't be a part of Pixar anymore. That's just how life works. And anyway, but yeah, Pixar's going to be fine. I mean, did you see Coco? That was the best movie last year, I think. I was really excited about that. And I think they've got some good ones coming up. We got Incredibles 2 coming up that we'll review soon, and we're excited about that. I think we're going to have a good time at Pixar still.
I think they will.
John Lasseter's out. Pixar is still going strong.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to do one more thing here in the Random Roundup, just because I think this is the place for it, right before we get to Ocean's 8 review, which is going to be right after this. And we'll talk about that until we're blue in the face, and that will basically be it for the podcast today. But I wanted to mention a book, a Star Wars book that I finished this week. I listened to the audiobook. I enjoy the audiobooks because you get kind of the sound effects, you get some good narration, and I can get through them because I go on, I commute to work, and so it helps me pass the time, basically. If I had to read it at home, I wouldn't have time to do it, so this works for me. But I read one of the Journey to the Last Jedi books, which is called Canto Bight. It's just called Canto Bight. It's 3 stories in Canto Bight, just in the location. That's all it is. It's just kind of introducing the location to you. And giving you an idea of what the dynamic is like there. The first story is it starts off really a little annoyingly. It's kind of this little guy that wins this all expenses paid trip because he's this, vaporator salesperson of the year. And he's just really, kind of like, I'm trying to think of a good comparison, but just really unnecessarily upbeat to everybody. And pretty much that's how he sells things. Like, he always has catchphrases. Like, I don't know, what's a catchphrase? But anyway, he always has like little annoying catchphrases, and he's just not really down to earth. He's just kind of in his own little place. He's really excited to be there. And then he gets involved in someone's criminal activity because he's kind of this unsuspecting guy. He's really annoying at first, but then he kind of grows on you through the story. And it ends up being kind of a charming little story. Nothing profound, but kind of fun to read. The next story involves, it's kind of like a father-daughter relationship. A little bit in the way of Kung Fu Panda. Because Kung Fu Panda has like the goose raising the panda.
I like Kung Fu Panda.
And like he doesn't get that it's his dad.
That's so funny.
It is funny. But in this case, they're self-aware of their relationship and that they don't look alike. And so he's this creature that is like a massage therapist, basically, one of the best that everyone lines up for. But he's kind of an indentured servant, and his daughter's an indentured servant and has to work at the fathier stables and for the races until she pays off her debt, whatever that may be. But then he ends up getting kind of involved in a political, a political guy wants him to get involved in something. So he basically sets him up and steals his daughter to blackmail him. And so he has to go through it's kind of like a little more joyful Taken, basically, but it's kind of fun. I guess there's 4 stories. There's one about like some wine tasting, which is kind of interesting. It actually kind of becomes intriguing.
The whole story is just about wine tasting?
Well, there's more to it than that, but it is about these 2 different beings that want to buy this really expensive, rare bottle of wine. And there's this really weird species that's like 2 people but 1 person. And they're really weird. But it's a pretty interesting thing how, one of the beings ends up getting the wine and the other doesn't.
Well, that's fascinating.
So it actually kind of is fascinating.
Wine's such an interesting concept. I mean, I don't drink wine. I think if I did, because wine is like, I like flavor, and they always talk about the year. Like, this is a 1965 or 18, and you're just like, wow. I mean, it's just fascinating how excited people get about wine because of the date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. The last story I'm trying to remember is kind of a guy's in debt, and he has to get out of 800,000 credits of debt by sunrise somehow because he lost something gambling or something happened.
It's always good at gambling.
So anyway, it's an interesting story. It's kind of a little annoying at first because it has some annoying characters, but they grow on you again, and it kind of comes full circle. And it's a fun little book. I recommend it. It was much, much better than The Legends of Luke Skywalker, which I don't recommend. This one, if you just want a good story told in a Star Wars universe, go read this one. That's what a lot of people always say. We just want a normal story without Jedi and stuff in the Star Wars universe. Well, this is it, and it's kind of fun. It's 4 interesting short stories put together in one book that are fairly intriguing. I think it's worth your time.
Maybe remind people where Canto Bight is in case they forgot.
Oh, yeah. So in The Last Jedi, which is a controversial movie, but I loved it.
Me too.
Yeah. And it's like, anyway, I won't get into that, but
please don't.
Yeah. But
it's all right.
Okay. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, it's the part in The Last Jedi when they go to like the gambling place. It's Finn and Rose go to the gambling area. I guess it's kind of a resort place. It's really fancy, really uppity.
Oh, it's that casino?
Yeah, it's the casino. And
they could have made
the track race and stuff like that. So that's the location it is. So it's kind of just introducing you to that planet and to that casino, essentially. It's 4 stories. Kind of an interesting book.
It was fun in the deleted scenes. We just watched the deleted scenes last night. for that movie, and they had a compilation that they put together of just different footage that they got of all of the creatures and people in Canto Bight, and just seeing all the different people, and also the scene where Finn and Rose were escaping on those.
They're called fathiers.
Okay, yeah, those racehorse type creatures. They go through more of the city, and so you get to see some funny parts of that
When they crash into the spa.
Yeah, there's this gross naked little guy that kind of crawls away,
and Rose's face is just so disturbed. It's so
it's really funny.
Oh
This
boy!
little creature.
All right, should we get into it? Should we get into Ocean's 8?
You know this one?
Ocean's
Yeah.
8.
No.
Debbie Ocean, convicted felon. Her brother, Danny Ocean, more convicted felon. She was present on the night of the incident.
So,
So you want to hit a jewelry store?
That's Ocean's 8.
Can I begin with a spoiler?
All right, let's do the warning here. Spoilers,
Okay.
spoilers, spoilers.
Yeah.
If you don't want any spoilers for this movie, this is the place to go away.
I just want to know your opinion on the first thing. Do you think?
Hold on. Let's have a moment of silence to allow people to get
Oh,
away.
okay.
Wait and watch it
Spoilers.
later.
I hope
Look,
you're-
there's a child watching us through the window.
Oh,
Oh,
yes, there is.
is that the front yard or the
It's the backyard, so we're safe.
Holding a balloon.
Holding a balloon. Don't fall in the window well. It's horrible. Be safe, child. They're being really good for us today to let Chelsea do this. I'm really happy that
Yeah,
happened.
it's
'Cause
amazing.
it's really hard to get both of us away from them and not have them
Screaming.
screaming and wanting us. So,
It's true. Kids love their parents.
all right, you've had enough warning for spoilers. Let's get into it. Go, Eric.
All right. So, do you think? I mean, the whole thing about. I mean, Sandra Bullock character gets out of prison, finds out Danny Ocean's dead, and do you think he's really dead? I mean, is that? Do you think that's something that's?
Well, I thought they might bring him back at the end or
Yeah,
some
I was hoping for
hint
that.
or glimpse or something, and then make way for a sequel. But there really didn't seem like they made any room for a sequel. They kind of tied it up nicely with a bow.
Yeah, they did.
including
Not that
the
they
last
couldn't.
scene.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I was hoping
they've got
there
enough
was
money.
some.
They don't need,
I was hoping for some indication that Danny was still alive. I mean, I kind of wanted. I was like kind of sad that he was dead. I'm like, oh, he's dead. I like him as a character, and
Yeah, he's
I think
a
it
fun
would be kind of fun to see him interact with with his sister, and just
have a little family competition or something.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
that would be
Be
cool.
fun.
And I mean, I could understand of why he would be dead because he's a con artist, and he's like, I don't want people trying to find me. I'm gonna fake my death.
Yeah.
And so that's why I just wanted to know if you guys thought he was really dead or.
Maybe they haven't decided yet. Maybe they're going to see how the movie does and then, let it go either way and see if they want to do something.
Yeah,
later
that
or
could be
not.
a good point. Just like, oh, let's just say he's dead, and then
Because she brought it up. Like, is he dead? Oh, I'm not sure. So,
There was kind of that funny moment. You know,
Uh-huh.
it was played for laughs. Where it's like, is your brother dead? I don't know.
yeah.
I think she was
So-
talking to like the like pickpocket girl. Was that what it
Yeah.
was? Yeah, because she was looking at his photo. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Anyway, that
So-
was a fun part. But
That's just what I like to begin.
what are
with.
your overall impressions of the movie?
Overall impressions of the movie? I love the actors. The actresses
Yeah.
were great. I liked how they didn't overplay them as women. I mean, they could have easily gotten them where they could just be like these over annoying women, just like always giggly and just being, I don't know. They could have easily played off all their sensuality too. I mean, well, there was a little bit of that, but not big. I mean, it played into part of, and they could have easily gone over the top, and which I thought they all did excellent in their roles.
Yeah, it was really fun to see such an all-star cast, and they all had such different characters too, and so that was nice. They did say, women get ignored, and so we're going to keep it all. They gave a reason. It wasn't just we're not going to have men. They said, women get ignored. Let's just keep it all women, and we'll just go under the radar.
Yeah,
So I thought that was cool. But
they
yeah,
weren't
they did
they weren't
really
against
good
men
job.
that Iowa, and
Yeah, no,
I like that.
And I was happy that they did this movie. I was hoping a little bit more for the dynamic of that first Ocean's movie.
Yeah.
You know, when you've got George Clooney and Brad Pitt,
There.
and you got Matt Damon just being an idiot.
Yeah.
And it was just such a fun dynamic, and the writing was fun. You had the two Mormon twins from Provo trying to tell Saul to go live in Provo. I think you could do really well there. You know, just all sorts of really funny things that happen in Ocean's 11 that I feel like the dynamic of that wasn't really in this. Like, they tried to copy a little bit of that same feel, and they tried to make Brad Pitt and George Clooney, Sandra Bullock, and
Kate Blanchett.
Blanchett.
Blanchett. I think Sandra Bullock could have pulled off. I don't know if it was Kate. I don't know if her character's like that. I've never seen her in anything funny, and so I mean, because Sandra Bullock, she's always great in everything I see, and she's funny and she can do that banter thing. But
yeah,
maybe,
she could do the banter. She's pretty famous for that.
Yeah.
I was wondering, was Kate Blanchett doing an American accent?
I think she was.
I think she was, but it wasn't really working.
Oh,
'Cause
what's her?
It was
what's
like
her
a
real
half.
accent?
I think she's English, right?
Yeah, she is.
So
okay.
I felt like it was kind of a half American, half English accent.
Yeah,
And
I
a
was
lot of
surprised
times-
by that. I was like, oh, she's doing the, okay. I just
Yeah.
went with it. And
It's like you could. I mean, it didn't say where they were from. You could have just kept her original accent.
yeah,
and it would have been
she
just
didn't need
fine.
to be.
I think they wanted her to be like an American tough girl, but they had a lot of Americans already. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
she could have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
My overall impression was basically it's the exact same plot of Ocean's 11 without some of the flavor.
Yeah, I was hoping for a plot that would have challenged our characters. I mean, I like that good heist movie, but with a good heist movie, I want them to feel challenged. And I want them to feel, oh, maybe they are going to get caught. I wanted to feel that. And I wanted to have them have some kind of challenge. I mean, I like the twist, though, with Anne Hathaway, with her.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun
that
twist.
was, and Anne Hathaway's character, she was good. I mean, I thought, like, oh, Anne Hathaway. So, I mean, I'm glad they didn't make her too serious, but she was still fun as a character.
Yeah.
And
They made her just, I guess, ditzy enough to begin with to make that turnaround believable.
and that worked with her being a little more ditzy, because I was thinking about, like, oh, she's really a ditzy character, but then I think, oh, but she's being a girly character. I mean, she's like, oh, I like
She's
jewelry.
putting on a show.
And I like that. That was also a nice thing with them saying, we're not, like, when they're talking about, oh, we could do banks, and they're like, why do we want to do banks? Let's steal some jewelry. And then I'm like, oh, I like that they played with that, because women like jewelry, and I thought that was fun with them. Not just, let's just go and rob a bank.
Yeah, it worked. But yeah, it's like I said before, it's just you were missing a lot of that humor, that subtle nuance that I mean, George Clooney and Brad Pitt are friends in real life, and I think that helped them have more of that dynamic, and I wanted that more from this movie. You know, I think a lot of these women actresses, they didn't know each other very much.
Yeah. In fact, I have a story about that. So I was watching help me with the name. Mindy
Kaling.
Yeah, Mindy Kaling, and she was on. Oh, I want to say it was Jimmy Kimmel that she was on, and it could have been Jimmy Fallon. No, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel that she was on. I was watching her, and she was talking about how they went to the Met Gala in real life when it happened. That she went, and they showed a picture of her dress and everything, and she said that she saw.
Rihanna.
Yeah, Rihanna there, and that Rihanna was so much more famous than she was, that she knew so many people that she like introduced herself again to her, like hi, I'm Mindy. We did that film together, Ocean's 8, and she's like, oh yeah, thank you, yeah, because she was so famous that she didn't remember who she was right off the bat, even though they were.
You
in
did a
scenes
movie with
together.
someone and you don't remember
would
this
think,
person.
right?
Yeah,
You would
that
think.
kind of makes me mad. Like,
Yeah,
you're in your own world a little too much if that's
Yeah.
the case.
Yeah, but it was just interesting that
is.
she thought, like, well, she particular is so famous that she didn't remember everyone. But in the movie, she's not. She's not a particularly big character, but I just thought that
I
was
don't know who
interesting.
Rihanna really is. I mean, I know more Mindy because of The Office. And I was thinking that she was going to be more Office type character. I'm like, oh, Mindy. I mean, she can get annoying, and she was great. I think they were all good characters that I didn't get bored with the movie.
The thing
either.
is, like, what kind of drives me crazy when it comes to hackers, and I don't know anything about hacking, honestly, but I feel like it's just too easy sometimes. Like, you just find, oh, she's the best, one of the best hackers in the nation. How do you know that? And what did you do to vet this person? Where did they come from? And how do you trust this person?
Yeah,
and how like you just be like, okay, she's a hacker, and then she does all these magical things.
Yeah, I was hoping that they would have. I like like in Ocean's 11, they knew contacts, they had friends, and they like, oh, I know him, and they went to their buddy and like, hey, we're gonna do this heist. And these people, I was hoping that they knew each other. And they weren't just random people who were like, oh, let's just find some random people.
And it was always Brad Pitt and George Clooney orchestrating together, and they were finishing each other's sentences in like funny ways, and it was just such a good dynamic, and I love that about that first, and they kept it going.
And some of the women, I mean, what's her name? Kate Blanchett found some, and Sandra Bullock found some, but they didn't work together.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett wasn't even she wasn't on board that much to begin with. She was more like, oh, I don't know about this. So you think
they should have developed all the different relationships a little more and had a little bit more back and forth between some of them?
Yeah,
I think
just
so.
a little more banter. Like there was so much banter in the first Ocean's movie, and it was so much fun. I mean, I shouldn't say the first Ocean's movie because there was the original Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Which I watched. I didn't enjoy nearly as much as the remake with George Clooney and Brad Pitt and etc.
Yeah, they had. I mean, I liked with Ocean's 11. You had so many good characters that they really could play with. They played off each other well. Like, I mean, I think of Bernie Mac and just him, and the way. Yeah, I like. I mean, because really the only new person they didn't know was Matt Damon's character.
But he was still connected to George Clooney, and they all knew his dad.
Oh, they knew his dad.
And so it was like, oh, you're.
Oh yeah, and they're like,
you're so and so's boy, that kind of thing. So there was
Linus,
was always connection.
They were like, oh, let's get a line, and they were weary of Linus. They were like, can he do this?
Yeah.
And so you're right. Okay. Yeah, they were all connected. I don't like that connection that they felt more cohesive.
Yeah. They did.
Now I need to watch that movie again.
It's a lot of fun.
Part of it.
It's really, really fun movie.
I personally like the third Ocean's the most. I don't know why. I think I like that heist a little bit better. I felt it was.
So basically, the premise of that one, if I'm remembering right, is the older. Is it Saul?
No, it was not Saul. It was the other guy who was actually in Ocean's 8.
Because he was going in a partnership with this creepy guy, and he ended up getting kind of kicked out, and he just went into like a life crisis.
And they end up in the hospital. He ends up kind of breaks down.
But then they all get together to basically avenge him.
Yeah,
and I take like down this guy and get some money.
And I think I like that. I think because of it being a little more revenge, just not let's just go and steal some money. It was actually a cause of why they were stealing.
There was still that in the first one as well, because Julia Roberts' character was dating the owner of the casino.
Yeah.
And he was, he had a hard time with that, which was the same plot as this movie, because it's basically
revenge. Like, oh, I need to get back at the guy who put me in jail.
Yeah. So you're adding that element that everyone else is like, oh, you don't do a job inside a job, and that it's the exact same plot as Ocean's 11.
And I think maybe they were going for that,
That's possible.
Let's take this and make some changes and add, new people, add women to it. Mm-hmm. I felt like I agree with what you're saying, Eric, where it's just a little bit too easy. It's a little bit too easy. It was a little bit too fast.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah.
And, it's not one that you're like, oh, that I have to buy that. That was groundbreaking, But it's one that you come away and you're like, yeah, that was fun, and I really love the actresses.
It was fun, yeah. And they all did a good job. Mm-hmm. They just didn't have the same dynamic as that original movie.
And I liked how I wasn't confused by anything. Like when we went and saw Logan Lucky,
Yeah.
and we were confused at the end. We were so many like, what happened?
Yeah, what
Why?
really happened here? I
Yeah,
still need to watch that
and-
again and try to figure it out.
And it just, you didn't leave the theater asking questions about what happened.
No, yeah, it was pretty clear what happened. It was almost a little too clear. I was hoping, in the original Ocean's movie, how you think that their money, like they didn't get the money, but then they're in the SWAT car, and
Yeah.
they took it
that
away.
was a nice twist.
Like that was a nice twist in the heist itself. The twist in this movie came outside of the heist.
Yeah.
I mean, there was
quite
a
bit
twist.
later.
Yeah, quite a bit
And
later.
I thought, why didn't they look in the fridge before now?
Yeah, right. No one gets a snack. Like
Yeah.
these women don't eat food.
I mean, I like the twist of the Anne Hathaway character just coming in. And
That was
she
fun.
Was in,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I didn't see
And
that.
and
one
it's
coming.
cool that they kind of one upped, the Danny Ocean character by, hey, we did this job, but we also got all these other things. We made a lot more money, so your cut is a much bigger cut.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys were like, they just got what they got,
Yeah.
Another
So that was a fun twist, but I wanted some twist of the heist itself more. But it was just kind of straightforward. It happened. It went the way it should have, and
I
then
like
they got
that they
away
brought
with it.
in the contortionist guy.
Yeah,
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 that
yeah.
was-
Yeah, he's a fun character.
And I liked Helena Carter's character.
Yeah.
She.
It's fun to
Usually-
see her in a new,
Yeah, I like
in a new
her.
way because she's a pretty typecast character.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
can, and she always comes off strongly as like I think of. I mean, mostly Harry Potter.
Yeah,
That's what I
Bellatrix.
think of her and her Bellatrix, and just kind of crazy and like.
In the
but
new-
her
Sorry,
being
are you good?
yeah.
I didn't
I'm
mean to
fine.
interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
In the new Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, she's the mom.
Oh yeah, she is the mom.
So you see her more in a normal role
Oh yeah.
there.
true.
But yeah, you normally see her as more of a dark, kind of crazy
Yeah.
character. 'Cause she's really good at playing.
And
it.
Yeah,
very
she is.
powerful, a little bit scary, but
Yeah.
here she's the more like nervous, kind of
And-
silly, unassuming one. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was fun. She's good for that.
Yeah, it was. One thing though, a question is, should these movies just be female centric or male centric? I mean, I know it's fine to have those, but think about the Fast and the Furious movies. They have a whole bunch of different. They have girls and guys and different races and different cultures, and I think that's one of the reasons why it makes $1 billion, because it has such more diversity. Should these movies not just focus on women and men, be willing to bring them together?
Well, I think they already did that with the first one. The first one was all men,
Yeah.
and so this one's all women. Like it's
Yeah, if they just were like, okay, we'll make another one, but we'll throw a few women in there to appease the crowd.
I mean, not just
You know, that-
specifically with the Ocean's movie, but when they do these, I mean, with like with people wanting these female-centric movies, are they just doing it to try and counterbalance the all-male?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the motive for sure.
But I think it can be fairly realistic. Like, I think some people, if they were going to do this, would pick all women. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
they'd
think
pick their women friends or
there
their
are circumstances
women associates
where it
or-
is an all-woman movie, and there are men. They're just not on the
right. You have
heist,
James
you know what
Corden
I mean?
being the
Yeah, James
the
Corden,
insurance
yeah.
investigator,
Uh-huh.
which he does a really good job.
I mean, they have the contortionist guy. He's
Yeah,
in
he's
in there. He plays a
last
part.
minute.
I mean, because I guess I bring this up because so many people had issues with the Ghostbusters all-female. I mean, there was a lot of issues just with that
The movie just was bad itself.
And-
Was just the problem because they're phenomenal
Yeah, they were
comedians and
all-
actresses. They
Yeah.
really are.
And the movie was. I mean, I felt like they were trying too hard with Ghostbusters, and I think that's why I liked Ocean's 8, because they weren't trying too hard. They weren't trying to be silly, I guess. I mean, that's what I feel like about the new Ghostbusters. It was just so silly, and then the Chris Hemsworth's character of like, oh, I'm a man, but I'm gonna be a goofy guy, and I'm like, you don't need to play to the stereotypes here. I mean, that's one, I guess, about Ocean's 8. They didn't play to all the stereotypes of women. They just were like, here's some women, and they're just gonna be themselves.
A little bit with Anne Hathaway, but at least she surprised you.
Yeah.
You know, at the end by being more than met the eye in her character. But I do think there's more room for these movies with all women. I think that's just fine. The only thing that I really want to see happen is I want these movies to be good. And I want, the movie itself needs to be good. It needs to be a really dynamic movie. And it can't just be, let's take this all men movie and make it all women movie just because we can. And we're not going to spend the time on it to make it really polished and effective and really fun, just like it was before. And I think it is fun, and it is fairly polished, and it's a good cast. And, they did a good job. It's certainly a step up from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Oh, lots of steps up.
Yeah, a lot of steps up from Ghostbusters. And it's along the same lines. I think there's room for these movies. Just make them good, so people so people aren't like, see, I told you, when it's just all women, it doesn't turn out good.
Yeah.
But that's not how it is. With Ghostbusters, it wasn't the actress's fault in that movie. It was more the writing was not very good.
Yeah.
It was a weird dynamic. It just didn't work.
Yeah. And
There are lots of women movies that all women, or strong women cast that are amazing. Like we watched some recently, Steel Magnolias, Fried Green Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's all focused on just women in their lives, and they can, that's
Fried Green Tomatoes is so good.
Yeah. So, that's nonsense to say that it's anything to do with women. It's just to do with the movie.
Yeah.
And the actors and actresses themselves.
That kind of brings me to this other point.
So we need to distinguish, like, just because don't be negative if it's just all women and all men. Just say, okay, I'm going to see this because it's going to be good.
Yeah. One thing I think, though, is the original motive for your movie matters. So the seed that you plant, the original seed that's planted for why this movie is being made, it matters. And, for a movie like Fried Green Tomatoes, I don't think the original seed was, hey, we need a movie with just women. I think the original seed was, we've got this great story to tell. And it just how happens that there's a lot of women key characters in this movie. So I think there's a difference there. With Ocean's 8, the original seed is, hey, we had this all-men movie, why don't we make an all-women movie?
It's kind of a remake with a twist almost.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think that original seed kind of gives it a little bit of lackluster feel when it comes into it, because the original idea for it wasn't the story itself. The original idea was, hey, let's figure out how to make this work. Let's figure out a story so we can force this situation to work. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that.
So it's not that the story was the original seed. It was the idea that they needed to make this movie. So how can we make it work? And I think that it makes a difference.
Yeah. That.
So with Fried Green Tomatoes, though, it was the story, I think, was probably more the seed. Mm-hmm. And then they went from there and had an excellent cast, and it ended up being an excellent movie.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you need to do, is you need to get these great ideas for great movies with women in them, but start with the story. Start with, this is the story that I've got, and then go from there. Don't just be like, okay, how can we make a bunch of women in this movie? You know?
That makes sense. Because
don't do that either way. Don't start with the casting. Don't start with
write the story first,
and
then after, okay, who would be a good person to play this part, and then go from there.
Right. If you got a good idea for a story, then do it.
I think there's probably a trouble that's happened in Hollywood, is that people are not taking the time to write good stories anymore. I mean, I haven't seen a good movie with a good story in a long time, where I just left away feeling satisfied.
Did you see Arrival?
Yeah, it was a little boring for me.
I can see that.
It was all right. I mean, it told a good cohesive story.
That was an incredible story.
That was.
But it was a little slow for me, and I was like, and so I wasn't. I mean, I'm like,
yeah, you do have to have like more than half a soul to like that movie, I think.
I mean, Arrival. I liked Arrival because it was original, though.
It was,
and it
very
was
original.
It was nice to have an original story, and I haven't seen that in a long time.
Pretty in-depth concepts and some non-linear storytelling that really worked really well in that movie.
Yeah.
But there's been some good movies out there with some great stories. You just have to not go to superhero movies all the time. which are fine,
Yeah.
but they're not gonna blow you away.
There's a lot of sequels. There's a lot of.
And I guess that's the problem, is
superhero
taking
movies.
the risk with it, is because I'm comfortable in certain movies that
Yeah, like you refuse to go see Isle of Dogs. We've talked about this.
I'll see
'Cause
when
that
it comes
one
out
would've
on.
qualified, I think. With
I'll
what
see
you're
it when
saying.
it comes
Yeah,
on.
Isle of Dogs was definitely up there with you, like originality and a good story.
Okay.
Just saying, man. If you kind of jump on this bandwagon of like superhero movie. I'll go see it. I gotta see it now. But then when it comes down to like,
But I like
a more
monster
artistic movie or a more one of these movies that's a little more.
But I like to be entertained.
Intellectual.
Intellectual's fine, but I guess I like to go to a movie. When I go to the theaters, it's for the experience. And theaters for me is the big blockbuster movie. And so when there's a drama, I don't want to see a drama in the theaters because it's just people talking a lot. I like to see the big explosions.
Okay, but if
in
you're
the
if you're
theaters.
looking for that, that's a Transformers fan
Yeah.
talking.
No, I don't like the Transformers
That's the
movies,
thing, though, is what you're talking about. What you're saying right now is Hollywood make more Transformers.
I want to see a movie like Inception again. Inception was like the movie that blew me away the most. I want to see something that has cool special effects, but then also a good story where I'm just like, wow.
So you want the
And
same.
thing.
You want the genre that you want, but you want it to be an original story within that genre.
Yeah.
Because there are original stories in other genres, but that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for like
I mean,
one
Inception
in the genres
still
you like.
just blew my. I mean, I had never left a movie thinking more about things than that movie.
Yeah, I remember that theater experience still. That was one of the more poignant theater experiences. I've never seen an audience react like that at the end, like when the top
Yeah.
may or may not topple, so you don't know if it's reality, and the audience just gasps at the end. I've never experienced that in any movie otherwise. Let's have a moment of silence while Eric collects his thoughts or glazes over.
No, I was thinking of other movies that I was like,
The thing is, like, a lot of times the good stories aren't the action stories.
No, they're not.
They're I mean, like, Rogue Nation was fun. That was another recent. The new Mission Impossible looks okay. I mean, it's hard to tell from the trailer, but
Yeah.
that kind of movie isn't known for, let's go into this huge, beautiful story and develop these beautiful character arcs and just leave the audience stunned and blown away by how we crafted this writing. It's more, let's get a decent story so we can get people there, but also let's blow stuff up.
I mean, that's true. I mean, a lot of people want to see explosions, but I'm a person who wants story, but I still want explosions. But that's what I liked about Coco. Coco told an amazing story. I love the story of Coco. I mean, when I watched, I'm like, yes, nice, original movie with an awesome story. And I left, and I'm like, this is nice. I liked how. That's one thing I like about Pixar, is that they do these originals, and they have made a little more sequels than I think people like, because that's one thing they planted themselves on, where we tell original stories and don't just make sequels for money. But then Cards did so well that they were like,
They make sequels for money,
yeah.
but they also make sure to have a good story about
They
it.
make
That's
good
Yeah,
sequels.
and that's why Incredibles took so long to do, because they were like, we just don't want to make a sequel for the sake of it. We want to do something. We want to tell a good story.
Okay, let me just cut you off there because Chelsea's getting called. Let's get your rating on the Ocean's 8 movie. What would you give it?
I would give it probably a B minus. It was really good for the story that it was, and if you're in for entertainment with a good cast, then this would be a fun movie to see.
Cool. Thank you. And yeah,
The Children are Calling.
thank you for
Bye.
watching those babies.
Thanks.
All right, Eric, what would you give it?
I'll go with the stars.
That's fine.
I mean,
whatever your rating system is,
yeah.
what do you give it?
I'll give it a 3 stars. I mean, because of the cast. Not because of the story, but because of the cast. 3. And I think it's worth seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's worth a ticket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
It's
is
worth the
worth
price of a ticket for sure. And I think they did a better job with this than Ghostbusters. It deserves to be successful.
Yeah, it does.
I'm with Chelsea right there. I'm bordering between a C+ and a B-. I think I'm going to go B- just because I did think that they did a good job and the actresses were great and the story was pretty good. The only reason it's getting such a lower score is because I feel like it's pretty much the plot of Ocean's 11.
And there was nothing new. You wanted something that just, like, I want a heist movie that feels where they're in danger and that they have that cool twist. There was nothing really, like, popped out to me that I was wanting, that I liked. I was wanted something big to pop out at me.
Yeah, something
With
crazy
heist.
during the heist, you mean?
Yeah.
I felt that way
And
too.
a good twist.
So I guess what I feel like Ocean's 8 is it's Ocean's 11 without the salt. You know, like if you ever forgot to put the salt in something that you cooked,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, this is edible, but it's not as good. It's not as
Yeah.
enjoyable.
It's missing
right?
that flavor.
It's missing that flavor of that dynamic of George Clooney and Brad Pitt and, you know, Matt Damon screwing up and having to jump on the van and slamming the contortionist fingers in the door. You know, all these different little things that play together just to make this fantastic dynamic that's just so much fun. And you get some fun dynamic in this movie, but it's not to the same level, you know. There's not that attention to detail
Yeah.
of that dynamic that there is in the original.
I remember
Well, not
chuckling
original, but-
through the movie at points. I don't remember exactly what I was always laughing at, but there was moments that I chuckled at things. And
There were also some moments where they were trying to be funny, but it was a little uncomfortable. Like when they're getting the pickpocket lady and then their watches go missing. Like that's the most standard pickpocket
yeah.
line ever. Oh, can I have my wallet back? Can I have my watch back? You know, like
I think it was funny.
the expert notices, but the other person doesn't, and then you have to call them out on it. It's just, it's been done so many times that it just isn't funny.
Yeah. One thing I liked that was funny to me, how much often they were eating. The first 5, 10, 20 minutes, they were eating a lot. Like, just showing them
Are
eating.
you talking about Ocean's 11?
The Ocean's 8. When at first it shows them eating. And
Well,
they're
that's how it
eating
was in
again,
the Ocean's 11.
And then they're like, take her to Subway. And I'm like, these people eat. I mean, I don't mind them eating. It was just funny to see that. I'm like, these guys are always eating. I was thought they were going to be showing eating more scenes. But
It was the same dynamic. It was Ocean's 11 because Brad Pitt's
Yeah,
always
Brad-
eating
yeah,
something.
he's just-
He's always eating like nachos or a hamburger or
and
something.
he's just eating some cereal or something. And you're right. They always
They
eating
did the
something.
same. That's the thing. Is they're just repeating. They're
Yeah.
repeating. Just do its own thing. You don't have to do the same plot. You don't have to do the same thing. I mean, there's only so much you can do with a heist movie, but at the same time, let's get a little more originality here.
I want to see a good Carmen Sandiego movie. I mean, that would be the ultimate heist movie.
Where in the world is?
I mean, the one thing about Carmen Sandiego, this is a little off on this. I mean, it would be an awesome, amazing female-centric movie. I mean, as a lead, I don't know if Carmen Sandiego should be the lead. I think it would be interesting to see her point of view. But to have her, because one thing I like about her is that she doesn't resort to violence. She's a master thief, and it would be fun. And I think that would be an amazing heist movie to see Carmen Sandiego, because she's intelligent, she's smart, and it would just, if with heist movies on the, I think they could. I'm surprised this Carmen Sandiego movie hasn't happened yet because of more people wanting more female roles.
But I also
and-
think we're out of the 90s, and a lot of people don't know what that means.
yeah, but we're all about nostalgic now. I mean,
We are.
We're getting a third Bill and Ted's. We're getting
80s. We're in the 80s
some
nostalgia.
other
zone.
80s
I don't
stuff
think
coming
we're quite.
back,
We're not quite there with the
and-
90s yet.
yeah, but people, or an Oregon Trail movie. I mean, based off. I mean, that would be.
That would be interesting.
Thinking of video games that could be turned into movies, but I mean, I've heard about the Carmen Sandiego thing being talked in the works, and people, and
Yeah, that would be interesting. But yeah, pretty much Ocean's 8 is a good movie. It's worth the price of a ticket. B- is not a bad grade.
Go
3
see
stars
it.
isn't a bad grade. Go see it.
yeah,
Just don't be prepared to be blown away or, be having your side split from laughter.
Yeah.
It's just a fun watch. And it does have a couple good twists in there. Not that you don't know that having already listened to this. So
if you're just like, if you're not in the mood for the action movies, the big blockbusters for the summer, this is a nice, calm movie for you that would be good to see.
Yeah. All right, where can we be found, Eric?
We can be found at Twitter at Geek Nerd Tangent. You can find us at Instagram at Geek Nerd Tangent, and follow us on Facebook. We love to see you there. Just find us at The Geek, The Nerd, and The Tangent. And we love to hear your comments. Our lines are always open. Give us a call at 801
769 6668. Give us an email as well, geeknerdtangent@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening to us. We appreciate you.
Yeah, what did you think of Ocean's 8? We'd love to hear you and your opinions of the movie. Go ahead and leave us a comment or anything like that on our Facebook or any other social media outlet.
And remember, we love you.